It's game day in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, as the Bucks get ready to host the Miami Heat, breaking down matchups and what the Bucks need to do in order to come out with the dub.
You are Locked On Bucks, your daily Milwaukee Bucks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What it do, y'all? Welcome to a bonus episode of Locked On Bucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the now #1 sports podcast network, your team every day. I'm Camille Davis. I'm an NBA analyst with the Locked On Network, plus the co-host of the Technical Foul podcast. Appreciate you for tuning in and making Locked On Bucks your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast, as well as on YouTube. And today we will be breaking down this upcoming matchup with the Miami Heat, especially given that the Miami Heat is another team similar to the Toronto Raptors that can really suffocate you with their defense. I'll say it like that. This is game 56 for the Milwaukee Bucks, and I don't know about anybody else, but certain numbers when I see them remind me of like childhood and like cable channels and whatnot. So when I see 56, I think Nickelodeon. If you're in the Milwaukee area, that will make a lot of sense. If you're not in Milwaukee or you're younger and way past the cable days, that makes no sense whatsoever. But a really important game for the Milwaukee Bucks tonight, given the fact that this is a team that is in the thick of the play-in chase. The Bucks currently sit as the 11th seed in the Eastern Conference with a 24-31 record. They are right behind the Charlotte Hornets, who are at 27-31 to get into the play-in conversation. Meanwhile, the Miami Heat, one of the teams that has been seen as a tenet of the play-in tournament since that was instilled, is currently the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference, 31-27 record. They're on a 3-game win streak, which, believe it or not, is the best win streak in the Eastern Conference right now. Both the Heat and the Celtics come in with 3-game win streaks here. So those two teams are leading the pack in the Eastern Conference right now. But this is a game for the Milwaukee Bucks that you want to get, because the last time we saw this team was against the Toronto Raptors at home, where they got blown out by 28 points. And while the Raptors and the Heat aren't a 1-for-1 match or anything like that, there are some similarities with the way that they play that you would look at and be like, hey, let's see what you can clean up from Toronto against Miami. But before we take a closer look at what's to come with Miami, let's take a look back at the last matchup between these two teams, because the last time they played, the Bucks lost a winnable game. They lost to the Heat 106-103, and this game was way back in November. November 26th, so right before Thanksgiving, if my memory serves me correct there. And that game that the Bucks lost to the Miami Heat in was actually the first ever loss the Bucks took an NBA Cup group play, and it dashed their NBA Cup dreams. And in that game, the Bucks were without Giannis, they were without Kevin Porter Jr., and they were without Taurean Prince. The Heat, meanwhile, were actually pretty healthy during that game. Only Terry Rozier was out, and we all know why he has been out. So during that game, the Milwaukee Bucks started Ryan Rollins, Gary Trent Jr., AJ Green, Kyle Kuzma, and Myles Turner. And what stood out to me from that first matchup between these two teams was just that particular game was arguably the best the Bucks had looked up to that point in games without Giannis. They lost it, but they were competitive. It was one of those games where the process was good for most of the night, and they just didn't hit enough shots to win along the way. Like, they got the shots and the looks that they wanted, and they played solid defense for most of the game. It was just a tough loss for them, and they had a lot of chances late to try to get the victory, but just weren't able to. During that game, without Kevin Porter Jr., there was a lot on the plate of Cole Anthony, who was no longer with the Milwaukee Bucks, and that was an 0-for-7 night from Cole Anthony. Bobby Portis also didn't have the best shooting night, going 4-14 from the field, and with the team being very shorthanded at that time, very hard to win in that way. But that was also the game where Myles Turner really came about. I thought that was one of the best Myles Turner games of the season, and I think it probably still will stand as that. Myles Turner finished that first game against the Miami Heat with 24 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, and I loved the way the Bucks utilized him in that game. Knowing that the Miami Heat are a team that love to switch, they were looking for those mismatches with Myles Turner, and he was sealing off smaller players. He was making good decisions, shooting when the rhythm felt right, and also passing the ball and trying to find shooters when he got doubled. And it felt like the Bucks were purposefully giving him touches in that offense to take advantage of Miami's aggressive switching defense. So I'll be really curious to see if that carries on in this game as well. The second matchup between these two teams, an important one, because the Bucks need this game in order to have a shot at winning the season series against Miami Heat. This is the team that they only played 3 times this season, so you don't want a loss coming in here. You want to go into that third matchup 1-1 and put yourself in the position to have a chance to win the season series, because again, this is a team that's right in front of you in that play-in standing. So every game counts. And when you're playing against these teams that are ahead of you, it's like double games, bonus games to a certain degree. I was able to actually get a quick little video in from Wes Goldberg, who was one of the hosts of the Locked On Heat podcast, to kind of break down the Heat from, well, the Miami Heat standpoint. So we'll get right into his thoughts, plus areas where the Bucks need to make sure that they are tight, that they are playing right, and a quick look at the injury report before we wrap things up. All that coming up on Locked On Bucks. Workplace chaos, deadline stacking up, the inbox overflowing, and then the one position you have to feel is still sitting there wide open. When the pressure is on and you need the right hire, this is a job for Sponsored Jobs. Indeed, Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location, so that you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Also, a word from our friends over at FanDuel, because if you've ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person, FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into a reality with their NBA sweepstakes. And here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for 2. That's right. We're talking about the tickets, talking about the flights, talking about the whole experience. FanDuel can get you there. If you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock it in, because you could also win that bet and also possibly win a chance to go to the NBA Finals. So not only can you cash your pick, but it can also send you to the finals. Make sure you visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA, and please remember to gamble responsibly. All right, as mentioned, got a little video from Wes Goldberg breaking down the Miami Heat and where they are at this point in the season. Check it out.
This is Wes Goldberg from Locked On Heat, looking ahead to Tuesday night's game between the Heat and the Bucks. And the Heat come into this game having won 3 games in a row. It's the first time that they've won 3 in a row this calendar year. It's been almost 2 months since they've won 3 games in a row. And a lot of that is because they're healthy, right? Tyler Herro is back after the All-Star break. So is Norm Powell. So is Pelle Larsson. Those Powell and Larsson back in the starting lineup. Khalil Ware back to the bench. And because this team is healthy, they're hoping that they are maybe now peaking at the right time. They have not been healthy for most of the season. Now, health has been an issue for a lot of teams this year. The Heat are not special in that way, but at the same time, they're getting healthy at the right time, where a lot of teams just aren't. And so I think that bodes well for what's coming up for Miami. So they've won 3 games in a row, like I said. They are mostly healthy. And with Herro back in the lineup, that's going to be a big boost to their offense. Despite all the hubbub about Miami being number one in pace and this new offense that doesn't use ball screens and the transition attack and all of this stuff, they're still just 15th in offensive rating this season. Getting Tyler Herro back, though, a guy who's a bona fide 20-plus point per game scorer, and having him alongside Norm Powell and alongside Bam Adebayo, that should boost that offense. Defensively, that's where this team still hangs its hat. It's where the Miami Heat are still special. They're 4th in defensive rating. And that's despite the pace, right? Like, we're talking about per 100 possessions. This is a very strong defensive team on a per possession basis. And that's giving a lot of teams a lot of problems. They're a very good rebounding team. They don't turn the ball over a whole lot. This is a team that basically takes care of its own business. And when they're able to make shots, they're able to win a lot of games. Now, if I'm looking at this rotation, I think this is an interesting thing for Bucks fans to be aware of, because the Heat have, like I said, gone away from the Bam Adebayo Khalil Ware starting front court. The starting lineup is going to be Bam with Wiggins, Pelle Larsson, Norm Powell, and if he's healthy, Davion Mitchell, although he missed the last game with an illness. His status right now, TBD for Tuesday night. If not him, Kasparis Yakachonis could start. And that brings Tyler Herro, Jaime Jaquez Jr., and Khalil Ware off the bench. This Heat team now can come at you in waves in a little bit, and they're always going to have one of Norm Powell or Tyler Herro on the court, so they're staggering guys who made the All-Star game the last 2 years, right? Tyler Herro an All-Star last year, Norm Powell an All-Star this year. They're staggering those guys to anchor their offense for basically 48 minutes. So you have a staggered All-Star on the court basically all game, and then you've got them staggering Bam Adebayo and Khalil Ware, so you have real rim protection for 48 minutes. That's been an interesting combination for Miami since the All-Star break, and it's worth paying attention to for the Milwaukee Bucks. We'll see what happens. Should be a fun game.
Definitely appreciate Wes for sending that over for us to be able to use on this preview episode. And while they are trying to find ways to continue to juice their offense, it's their defense for me that I'm focusing most on, especially after seeing how the Milwaukee Bucks faltered against the suffocating defense of the Toronto Raptors just a few days ago. And there are some similarities between the Miami Heat defense and the Toronto Raptors defense. While the Heat don't force as many turnovers as the Raptors do, they do score more points off of those turnovers than Toronto. And the Heat are also a better defensive rebounding team than the Raptors. So if the Bucks are going to be putting an emphasis on the offensive glass, which we have heard from Darvin Ham has been a new focus of this team going forward, they're going to have to be really, really sound, because Miami Heat are a good team when it comes to defensive rebounding. Now, you look at what they do offensive rebounding, they're middle of the pack, 18th in the league when it comes to that. So defensive rebounding more than anything is the key for them. So I'm really interested in just seeing how the Bucks respond to this, because we saw the Raptors fluster them and frustrate them with a switch heavy defense where the offense too often dissolved into just 101 ISO ball. I'm really curious to see what the Bucks learned from that experience and how they push that going forward against the Miami Heat, because one of the common refrains we heard after that game from the players and the staff was, one, this is just one game. We've been building something really good here. We're going to go forward. We can't see, if the shots aren't falling for the Bucks, we cannot see that affect their defense. On the offense side of things, we can't see them continuously fall into the 101 ISO habits. They have to continue to move the ball. And I am also curious to see how they utilize Myles Turner in this game. He's one of the players to watch, in my opinion, just given how dominant he was in that first matchup against the Heat. Also really curious to see what Kevin Porter Jr. looks like in this matchup, because he did not play the first time against the Heat. And he is somebody, especially over the last few weeks, who I have just been very impressed with when it comes to his play. Kevin Porter Jr. is somebody who, coming into the season, I understood the value of Kevin Porter Jr. I knew that this team was going to depend a lot on him. But seeing Kevin Porter Jr. make decisions quicker, seeing him being aggressive, driving downhill, either creating for himself or for others, has been a positive for this team. So I'm curious to see what that looks like in his first matchup this season against the Miami Heat. Now, we will have post-game coverage of this game, of course. There will be the live postcast with Brandon, and I believe Butchie is also back for this game. So you'll get that directly right after the game. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube so that you can be part of the live show when that goes live. And then there will also be a post-game. I believe Justin and Frank are going to be handling it tonight. And if not, then it'll be a little bit later with myself and Justin coming at you Wednesday morning. And then also, because it's a back-to-back, the Cleveland Cavaliers are coming into town on Wednesday. I also just finished recording a little post-game bonus with Danny Cunningham of Locked On Cavs, and we'll air that tomorrow as well to get you ready for that game, as we did today to get you ready for the Miami Heat game. So hopefully the Bucks can find a way to bounce back, get back into that victory column, and keep the momentum moving while they just continue to build, while they wait for the return of Giannis, which does feel very, very close. So thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bucks. If you have not yet already, make sure you check out our Everydayer Club. The link is in the description. But with the Everydayer Club, $5 a month, you will get Locked On Bucks ad-free every single day, plus access to a members-only Discord where we talk during games, and you can also dive into other teams' Discord and see what's going on with them. So appreciate you for tuning in to Locked On Bucks. Bonus episodes, normal episodes, post-game episodes, postcast episodes. Appreciate y'all for all you do and all the support that you give us. And we'll be back very, very soon with some more content breaking down the Milwaukee Bucks. So make sure you are keeping it locked in.